classes and objects. So how to define the objects of a class. So it is like this, that if you have a class, let's suppose the rectangle, so any instance, any variable of this class is called instance of the class. As I told you, instance is exactly like a variable of this class, exactly like int x. Okay, int x. So x is the instance, x is the variable, and int is the idea. The int is defining what x is. Okay, so the data type. So after defining a class, the class name become a data type. And once you create an object, then you can call all public functions with the data operator. So the object name dot object public data member, object name dot public function, and you cannot call with this dot operator any private data members. Okay, you cannot call with this because private data members are not allowed to access outside the class. Okay, so let's go ahead. This is the rectangle class. So if you want to apply this and see the practical of this, let me quickly apply. This is the template, so I will save as it. The template save as a rectangle. Okay. Rectangle dot cpp. So this will be now. So you see, we are going to define the rectangle class. Okay, so to define the rectangle class, what we will do, the word class. Okay, so you see in which someone is, you know. Okay, so let's continue. We are going to define a class, a rectangle, but in Visual Studio Code, if I click the when I type the word class and click the tab button, it give me the full skeleton. Okay, but in that case, I think it will be not clear for you. So this is why I am deleting all this everything for you to be clear. Okay, so this is the the skeleton or template of a class. So class, the keyword class, and then the name of the class, and inside the class we are defining two main sections. Remember that the first section is always generally the properties. So you see what properties means. Actually, it's the basic idea, the basic component. For example, we are going to define a rectangle. So rectangle basically has a length and width. Okay, so these are the properties. Okay, functionalities we are defining in a public area, but in the private area we are only defining the properties. So properties are length and width, and you see the length and width may be both float or double values. So therefore we will define here float uh, length and float width. Okay, after that I will type public. You see, for the private, I didn't type private. So if I don't type anything, okay, and before this there is no access specifier. This, the word public and private, these are called access access specifier, meaning to say it specifies the level of access. How it will specify how you will access this area. Okay, so under the public I can define the function. So note the point that whenever you are defining a functions, just keep in mind two basic ideas. That one main category of function should be to assign values to the properties. So meaning to say, the question is how I will give value to this, because we cannot type like this in a class that length equal to 19. Let's suppose you cannot type, remember. Okay, you cannot type like this because class is just an idea, it doesn't have any real value. Okay, so you cannot type, you cannot initialize, you cannot give a value. So if we cannot give a value like this, so later on from main, how I will give value to this length and width, for that purpose we need a functions. Okay, so mostly some people are using the setter functions like set length and set width. Okay, so meaning to say you can define two functions also, set length and set width, like in the example here you see set width and set length. Okay, two functions are there, but I think to make it simple, okay, we will use one function. Like I will say like this, set values or set data, it's up to you. Okay, this set data function will not return any value, so void set data. And this set data need, you see we have two properties, so this set data function will bring two values to the class and then will assign one to length and one to width. Therefore we need two parameters, and the parameter data type should be what we should, it should follow the same. So if here is a float, so here should also be float. So float, the length I should use L. You can use any variable that you want. If you even if you want the same word length, still you can use, but just to for simplicity I will use like this. Okay, and this will be the body of the function. You see this curly bracket is the body of function. So what you want to do by this set data function, this set data functions, we want that this function will assign values to length and width. Okay, so if it is assigning values to length and width, then we will do like this: length is equal to the value L that we send, and width is equal to the value W that we send. That's all. You see, this function initialize or assign the values that we, these values will come from where? This will come from int main. Later on you will see when we create the object. Okay, another function we need, you see, so this function is a mutator function. This is modifying the values of length and width. Another function which is by name it is called accessor function, meaning to say we just read the values back. So if we want to read the values back, then we will you can define get length and get width, two functions also, but I just want to yeah, so if okay, I think in this one I should use the two functions idea, then you will learn both style. Here I use one function and here I will use the two function style. Like the length data type is float, so this function should return a float value. Okay, so float get length, it doesn't have any argument because it is reading back, it is not assigning. So it will just do what? Return. Okay, return the length. Okay, simple that. Next one, I will define a length. Now float, this function will also return a float, but get width. Okay, this also doesn't have any argument because it is reading, it is not writing. Okay, so this will also return width. I hope you understand. If any confusion, anything, you let me know. Okay, another function is possible to calculate the area. Okay, so you can say like the area will be also float and the area will be returned to us. So get area. Okay, this also doesn't need any argument because we already have the length and width and it will return. So we just want to return the length time width. Okay, so this length time width is what is the area. So the functions, all the functions we defined in a public section, and the properties we didn't specify. So if you don't specify, then by default it is private. But now I will type for you to be very clear. Okay, so private, these two, the rest are public. So class definition is complete now. In a main, we can define a function now. So the class name is rectangle. Now the class name is a data type. Now we can use the class name and can define variables. Okay, for example, a rectangle 1 and a rectangle, okay, 2, let's suppose. These two are the variables. Okay, so for the rectangle, you see these variables are created now, but these variables don't have any values yet. Okay, otherwise you can check. For example, if I type a rectangle, for the variables, try to use the name lowercase. Okay, then it is clearly well defined or well known that capital words represent a class and lowercase represent variables or objects. Okay, so if I say a rectangle, rectangle 1 dot get length, let's suppose. Okay, if I check that what is the length of this, so this function is returning a value. Okay, no, it is confused, no problem. So it's returning a value, therefore I will put in C under the cout. And if you want to put some uh, text or prompt, you can say that the length is equal to this rectangle 1, yeah, rectangle 1 dot get length. Okay, so I don't know why the Visual Studio is confused, but no problem. I think there is no error. Rectangle. Okay, so let me just quickly check that. You see, we didn't assign any values to this. So what will this be displayed by this? Let's quickly check. You see, the length is 8.997 exponent. The E stands for exponent, negative 0. So small value, very random value is automatically taken. It is also called garbage value. So if you don't specify value, it will be just a random or garbage value. So before accessing, we should specify the values. And how to specify the value? For this purpose, we define this set data function. Okay, so now you see the rectangle 1 dot set data, and this set data has two values. Let's suppose the length is 30, okay, and the width is 10. Okay, so the first value go to the first argument. First argument is L, and L is we are assigning to length. Okay, second one is W, and we are assigning this to width. Therefore, we are giving the value in that way. Okay, in the same way. Okay, now let's suppose now if I run the program, so you see this time it exactly displaying the same value whatever we said. You see we sent 30, so it's showing the 30. If you want to display the width also, you can do like this. The width is equal to this one, get width dot get width. Okay, so in the same way here, I think I should give a new line. Yeah, new line, and maybe here also a new line. Okay, save it again and run again. So you see the length is 30 and the width is 10. Okay, now if you want to see the area also, then you can type the same thing, because all the functions which returning a value, we will put inside a cout statement. So cout a message, the area is equal to, and then we can call the function, sorry, rectangle 1 dot get area. This is a function. After function name, you will must put the parentheses this, okay, and then semicolon, and you can type the endl also if you want. Okay, okay, I hope you understand what I am typing. So if I run again, then you see the length is this. Oh, why oh my god, you see it is length time width, not plus, length time width. Okay, so the area should be equal to this. You should tell me at that time. Okay, you see now length is 30, width is 10, and area equal to 300. So I hope it is clear for you. Okay, now let's see and let's define one of the function outside the class. Okay, you see this function, the get area, I am cutting from here and I am typing after main, okay, after the int main, okay, or maybe before the int main, but outer, yeah, out of the body of the class. This is the body, this curly bracket show the body ending, but yeah, the ending of the body of a class. So outside this class you can define here also, or maybe the more to be more clear, even after int main. So if I save it now and if I call You see, here I am calling this uh, function, but let's see that it works, it will not work. You see, the get area, it doesn't know what does it mean, because the get area function is not defined before the int main, and it is not sure that this function is a general function, or it is part of the class, or how to deal with it. This block of code belongs to what does it mean? The compiler don't know. Okay, to link, or to tell the compiler that this function is actually a member function of this class, then what you will have to do, if you are defining outside the class, then you will have to use a scope resolution operator. Okay, so how to use the class name rectangle? Okay, the class name rectangle, and after that scope resolution operator 2 colon, and then the function name and whatever is the coding. Now you see, now the compiler know that, oh, this function is part of member function of this class. So simply to tell you that we can define functions inside a class like this. You see, it is inside the class. We can define outside the class like this, but whenever you are defining outside the class, remember you will have to use scope resolution operator like this. And scope resolution operator is joining back this class to this function to this class. Okay, if you, when you are defining outside a class, then at least you will have to declare first. Okay, just declaration means like like this this is the first line only. Sorry for that. Okay, just define this float rectangle get area and semicolon. You see, just to tell inside the class that this function I will use, or I will define later. Okay, so just define, declare here. This is called declaration. Okay, declaration, and this is the actual definition. Okay, definition of the class, the actual coding. So when it's like this, then compiler know, oh, the function, this one, oh, sorry, here will be no this. Okay, just the function name float get area. This function we will define outside the class. So if you want to define here, okay, outside the class, still can. Yeah, you see, no error this time. Okay, even you can put after main here like that time, still if you run, it will give you the same result, no error. So the point is that if you want to define any function outside the class, okay, then you will just declare the function first in the class, and then you can define the function, the actual coding you can put anywhere that you want. Okay, sometime why we need this, sometime actually for real world big problems, we want the declaration and the implementation to be separate. Okay, then we put all the implementation, the actual coding in one file, and all the just declaration in another file. So then is a bit easy to understand the class structure. Otherwise, if it is a hundreds of lines of class, or thousands of lines of class, then it is very difficult to go and find out and understand what this class is defined for.